So I went to Temple University for grad school. Yeah, yep, I remember you. You were there. And I went full time, so I was broke and I needed a work study job. But the options were absolute trash, right? It was things like record keeping and things like that. But there was one that stood out. It said manager for a sports team for McGee Rehabilitation Hospital. I had no idea what that could possibly be. Like, what sport is this? What sports team? McGee Rehab? I don't know. But it had the word sports in it, and I was like, all right, I'm in. So I went to the interview, and at the interview, they told me that the sport was quad rugby. Now, I had never heard of quad rugby. What in the hell is quad rugby? But I was absolutely broke, and I needed the job. So at the interview, I was like, oh, quad rugby? Oh, yeah, absolutely, I know about that. As a matter of fact, in some circles, I'm actually known as the quad rugby expert, you know what I mean? I mean, they're small circles, but nonetheless, the circles are about the size of me. Like, it was me. I was the circle, okay? But in my circle, I was an absolute expert. So I interview, and I end up getting the job, but they explained to me what quad rugby is, and I'm doing research, I'm trying to figure out, just to try to prepare. There was no way to prepare for what quad rugby is. Here's what it is. It is a sport, it's a mix between rugby, lacrosse, maybe football. It's played indoors, kind of like on a basketball court. The goal of the game or the sport is to basically get the ball across your opponent's line. Now, the quad comes into play because the players are quadriplegics, people who have absolutely no use of their legs and little to no usage of their arms, right? And actually, it's kind of like a scoring system as well. So let's say, for example, you have no legs and you have, your arms are only basically to your elbow. That might give you a score. You are considered a 1.0. Versus someone, let's say you have no usage of your legs, but you have usage all the way up to your wrists and you have some skill like this, so you might be a 3.0. And then there's everything in between, right? That's how it worked. Now, the game was played, the sport was played in a wheelchair. But wheelchair doesn't really do justice to what these things really were. They were more like war chariots, right? I mean, they were outfitted with metal bars and guardrails like you would see on the front of an 18-wheeler or a Mack truck. The wheels were not straight up and down. They were bent like this, inward, ready for action. And they were armored. I mean, literally armored. Like, these things looked like medieval shields. Like, if you were going to slay a dragon or battle the Dothraki, you would want one of these wheels, right? Like, that's what they looked like. So that was the chariot, the war chariot, as we called it, and that was the sport. Now, on my first day, I'm starting to get to know, some of the guys, and it was fascinating because you meet them and you're hearing some of their stories, right? One guy in particular, he became a quadriplegic during a baseball accident. Right, just playing baseball, adult league, whatever. He was sliding into a base. The other guy was sliding in with his knee. Collision, neck, break. That's what happened to him. There was another guy whose past was, a little unsavory, as it were. And he was in a gang, and he actually got shot in his spine. And that's how he, became a quadriplegic. There was a third guy that was the captain of the team, and he was the best player on the team. We call him Sarge. Sarge was ex-military. Sarge was tough as nails. He was mean, all kinds of stuff. I'll give you an example. So technically, Sarge was a 2.5, but Sarge registered as a 3. Why did he register as a 3? Because fuck you, that's why. He was prideful, he was tough, and everybody did what Sarge said to do. So when I started, first I was a little uncomfortable, trying to get used to things, but over the days and the weeks, I started getting really, really comfortable with the guys, and they started getting comfortable with me. I'm doing the managing thing, I'm getting orders and all that stuff, until one day that they were short a guy. And Sarge goes, well, strap him in. I'm looking around like he can't possibly be talking about me. But everyone did what Sarge says, so I'm seeing wheelchairs roll up to me with tape and rope ready to strap me into the chair because what they were gonna do was make me as close to a 3 as possible. They strapped my legs in and they taped my thumbs to my hands so that I couldn't, do too much. It was as close to a 3 that they could possibly make me. But let's be honest, even if you strap me down, like this isn't fair. Like it's still an unfair advantage, right? Wrong. Wrong. I got my ass kicked all up and down that court. First of all, one trip down full speed like this, I was exhausted. I didn't understand how they were able to do it. Even maneuvering the chair in the way that they did without the leverage I'm used to having with my legs, I couldn't get it done, and I didn't understand that. The third, and probably the most important piece, the collisions. Every single one was like a car accident. It was reckless abandon. Quad rugby has another name. It's called murder ball. If you take your phones out and YouTube or Google murder ball, you will see quad rugby. It is violent. Do not underestimate these quadriplegics, I swear to you. So I'm practicing, I'm trying my best to keep up. I remember getting my ass knocked to the ground, out of the chair. I couldn't get up. You know how humbling it is to look up and see a guy with no legs, basically one arm, look down and say, "Get up, Clarissa." This is how Sarge treated me. And I ain't no punk. I'm not gonna let him get away with that. So as soon as he rolled away, under my breath, I whispered, "My name's Chris, bitch." Sarge was terrifying. What do you want me to do? I'm not gonna confront Sarge. So again, time went by. I was getting my ass kicked, but I started getting better because I kept paying attention to Sarge. And even though he was mean, he had a heart of gold. He would whoop your ass, and he would teach you why he whooped your ass. So me paying attention, I started getting better. Now, a national tournament was coming up, and it was being hosted in Philadelphia. And so the practices got more and more serious. These were scrimmages now. And I, once again, suited up, and it's me on one side, Sarge is on the other side, and then the other folks filter in based on their scores, right? And so we were scrimmaging against each other, and there was a loose ball, right? Loose ball goes flying down the court. Sarge takes off after it. I take off after it. We are going. I'm talking neither one of us is letting up. I'm remembering everything that Sarge taught me. He said how you lean into it, and then you lunge with your arms, and you let the momentum take you. And that's how you don't get tired even though you're going full speed. My chest is burning, but I'm not giving up. He's not giving up. He looks like he could go another mile without quitting. We are going, and I slowly start to pull away from Sarge. And I actually get to the ball first. The accomplishment, oh my God. I thought that I had won the championship because I finally beat Sarge. I was on top of the world. And I turned around to look at him, and his face was devastated. It was so sad. He wasn't mad that he lost to me. I was a reminder that no matter what, no matter if he was the baddest son of a bitch in there, the toughest, the fastest, he was still quadriplegic. And I wasn't. He was limited, and I wasn't. He got beat by someone who just wasn't limited. And even though he used to be so capable, used to kick so much ass, I was a reminder that things were different for him. And I'm talking, this is all just by looking at his face. I could read it. I could see it. And it was so painful because I had forgotten that at the end of it all, I could undo these straps, right? And stand up with my own legs. I could cut the tape off, and I got my hands back, and that's what I did. After the scrimmage was done, I stood up, and I grabbed my bag with both of my hands, right? And I put it on, and I waved goodbye. I walked out to my car, and I got in it unassisted, and I drove home by myself in my car. It was a lot. It was a whole lot. And school got busy. I didn't go to practice as much anymore. It happens, right? And I wasn't seeing the guys. They kind of weren't seeing me. But it was the end of the semester. My work study was kind of coming to an end anyway. And so, I kind of just wrote it off because of that. But I did get back to that tournament. And I arrived to the tournament. It was at Carousel House. I don't know if y'all know that by Please Touch Museum. Yeah, that's the song to Carousel House. And I walk in to the tournament, and I get there late, so it's already going on. And the first thing I notice is, the Philly team, they're there, all my guys, they're there and they're playing. And I want to say 10 seconds in, there's this guy from the El Paso team. He's got the ball, and he's going to go score. He's flying, and it's a given. He's going to go score their first point. But what he didn't account for was this thing on the left side of the court. It was a missile. You could barely see it. It was a blur. It had camo stickers on it and a couple of American flags. And it was the fastest thing moving. This thing was an F-15 fighter jet. It was Sarge coming at an angle, and he caught this guy. And when I say he caught him with a vengeance. The collision, everybody in the whole place was like, God damn, Sarge wiped him out. Everybody fell. And I'll be honest, this guy from El Paso was big. So Sarge actually got the worst of the deal. But his face looked so satisfied, so happy, because Sarge was the toughest, meanest, fastest son of a bitch in the entire place. And everybody knew it. Thank you.